Now the letdown and landing. During the letdown, speed brakes are used. They may be extended at any airspeed and can be stopped at any point in their travel. However, when the speed brakes are fully extended, a slight nose-up pitch is experienced. If you plan to leave the speed brakes extended, some change in longitudinal trim will be required. Before entering the pattern, dump the fuel remaining in the tip tanks. First, let's look at the overall pattern. Enter the landing pattern at 250 knots. Approach the brake point slightly to the right of the runway in a wings level attitude. When cleared to brake, roll into a 45-degree angle of bank. Extend speed brakes and reduce power. As the airspeed falls below 165 knots, extend the gear and flaps. As you enter the downwind leg, adjust power to maintain 110 knots. Complete the landing checkoff list. With clearance from the tower, begin turning off from the 180-degree position. Reduce power so as to arrive at the 90-degree position at 100 knots, 15 units angle of attack, and 1/2 of the downwind altitude. Continue the approach to arrive on final with 1,200 feet of straightaway to the point of touchdown, 95 knots, and 15 units angle of attack. Maintain attitude and allow the airplane to descend to the runway. Let's repeat the approach and landing. As you roll into the brake, extend the speed brakes and reduce power. Slow to 165 knots, extend the gear and flaps. On the downwind leg, slow to 110 knots. Adjust power and go over the landing checkoff list. Commence turnoff at the 180-degree position. Slow to 100 knots and establish 15 units angle of attack at the 90-degree position. With 1,200 feet of straightaway, continue on final, maintaining 15 units angle of attack until touchdown. If you take a wave off, smoothly apply full power. At the same time, retract the speed brakes and roll into a wings level attitude. Accelerate to a safe climb speed and fly parallel to the duty runway. Traffic permitting, climb to re-enter the downwind leg. Again in the final, your speed is 90 to 95 knots with 15 units angle of attack and about 1,200 feet of straightaway. Hold your speed and attitude and let the airplane descend to the deck. Touch down between 90 and 95 knots and reduce power to idle. Utilize aerodynamic braking by holding the nose wheel off the runway. Allow the nose wheel to touch down at about 65 knots. Use rudder to maintain directional control until speed slows to about 40 knots. Then use the brakes as necessary. Slow the aircraft to normal taxi speed. When clear of the runway, retract the speed brakes and open the canopy as desired. Return to the line. When the aircraft has come to a stop, raise the canopy. The plane captain will chock the wheels and install the 3 landing gear safety pins. When you receive the cut signal from the plane captain, retard the power control lever to off. Turn the engine master switch and the DC power control switch to off. Turn off all electronic equipment. Remove your oxygen mask and turn off the oxygen shutoff valve. Turn off the fuel shutoff valve at 0 RPM. In this film, you have seen normal ground and flight procedures for the T2J Buckeye. Squadron doctrine may vary on some of these procedures. These variations will be pointed out in related lectures by your flight instructor.